Welcome back to In Play. Today we're going to be looking at Mwahahaha, a game by White Wolf Games. It's a competitive mad scientist world domination game. And here on the table in front of you, I've got all the pieces that come in this box. So, you get your cards, you get your mad scientist devices, you get your mad scientists, you get a cheat sheet that goes over all the rules of the game, you get a rule book. You get tokens. These are representative of the resources that you accumulate during the game. And you've got these shiny green and purple dice. A really nice feature, I thought. All right, so of the decks that you have at your disposal, you have your Empire deck, which allows you to get more resources by funding or forming dummy corporations throughout the game. So, like here, we have Thruster. We are rocket science. And this gets you 2 energy for every turn. So if you want to claim energy to build up your stockpile, you can get 2 energy from your Empire card here. You have your raw materials cards, your energy, money, Eureka, and structure. These are the resources that you accumulate over the game to help fund your device. The ultimate goal is to take over the world by threatening them with your world-destroying device. Other cards in the game are your minions, and we have the Dirty Trick card. You get one every turn. This is a card that can change the rules of the game for that turn. You can play it at any point during that turn, and you can turn the tables on your opponents. In addition to the regular raw materials I've shown you, there's also a wild card. Wild card allows you to grab any single resource for a rating of 1. On top of that, and this comes in more in the trading phase, you can trade resources with other players. In doing so, if you want to screw over other players, if you have in your hand the Betrayal card, you can tell them that you have a resource and they'll trade for whatever resource they have for you instead of actually slipping them a resource. Aha, obviously you are giving them a betrayal card and you're screwing them over. Now remember, they will remember this betrayal for the rest of the game and they will return it in kind at some point if they don't just come in, raid your lair and kill all your friends anyway. Which happens. You are a mad scientist. These are your mad scientist world dominating devices. There's a solid stack of them. And they are used by each player to take over the world, or at least threaten the world with takeover. Places that you can take over as you develop your device over the game: city, state, country, and ultimately the world. Now, there are multiple devices fitting your style of play, fitting the layer that you end up with your mad scientist, the resources that you can get for yourself, and just kind of your imagination. Now, some of these are better than others in actual resources used, in gameplay, and in development imagination. Like when they made the game, they had some like propagate man-eating plants. Fun. There's another one that's just bomb. Kind of lame. Resource tokens. These resource tokens, which are cardboard in nature, represent the actual resources you've accumulated over the game, and you take them and you can put them in a stockpile in your location or on your device, or you can spend them out to purchase minions or an empire. When you threaten a city or threaten a state, if when you threaten and you lose the combat that happens, which we'll get to, you get a humiliation token, and that lowers your ability later on in the game. And it makes you look like a fool. You can also get a humiliation token if you have a world-ending device and you go after a state. It just looks silly. You kind of look pathetic. Don't do it. There's also maniacal. Say a city has said, no, we will not bow down to your demands, and they defeat you. Instead of just taking the humiliation token, you can take a maniacal token, which says, you're not bowing to my demands? I push the button anyway. And you propagate your man-eating plants right onto Detroit, because, you know, Detroit needs it. You generally start out the game by picking your mad scientists. There are multiple, I will fan this out, it'll look very pretty, multiple mad scientists. On these cards, you have where you put your stockpile, You also have what your layer can convert from the resources. So not every layer can convert all of the resources. That's why you have to have empire cards, or you have to steal it from your enemy. You also have your illustration, your scientist's power, where you can put your maniacal or humiliation tokens as you accumulate them. And this big hole right here, this is where your device would snap in. Kind of a novel little thing. Being cut out of cardboard with any of the flashing that it has, they don't all fit perfectly well. And while you're laying it on a table, it's not a big problem. It's not also the easiest way of doing things. So basic game setup is this. Players pick their mad scientist. Then they're handed 3 doomsday devices. Reading through your layer of your scientist and the requirements for the device, you pick one of those 3 devices, the other 2 going back to the doomsday pile on the side. As you're going through the game, if you've decided that, yeah, you know, my device isn't working out quite like I thought, you can kind of mulligan and develop a new device. It will set you back a little bit, but you can always start with a new device. If people are just laughing at your bomb because you just weren't creative enough to come up with a new name for it. Other than that, the raw materials deck, depending on the amount of players you have, changes. If you have a game of 5 players, you use the full deck. That's 125 cards. For every player less than that to 2, you take out 25 cards. The trick is when the raw materials run out, they're gone. There's no reestablishing raw materials. So if you find yourself lagging behind in raw materials towards the end of the game and people are building their last doomsday device, it behooves you to try to steal as much as you can from the other players. Once these are gone, you're kind of SOL. So after you determine initiative, you also then deal out every turn a new dirty trick to players. Again, these dirty tricks can be played anytime during the course of the game, unless the card itself specifically says otherwise. Now, 3 phases of the game are creation, rivalry, and domination. In the creation phase, you are getting your raw materials, you're turning in your cards that you have gotten on your turn. You can get up to 5 cards per turn, 5 cards per turn. And you can turn those in according to your layer and your empire for resources that are refined by your layer or your empire. In this phase, you can also purchase more empire cards, purchase minion cards. You can start trading resources with other players. You can stockpile resources, or you can start developing your doomsday device. Each doomsday device has a source or amount of resources that are necessary for it to build, depending on the build you want. If you just want a city device, which is the lowest, you only have to spend a few resources. But if you get up to the world-shaking doomsday device, that's going to cost a lot more. You're probably going to have to build up your empire before that. You're probably going to have to go into your enemy's lairs and steal. So that's what you do in the creation phase. In the rivalry phase, you are now directly screwing with the other scientists that you're competing with. Now, to do that, you can do 2 things. You can attack their empires, which removes, resource refining places for them, or you can attack their lair. Now, when you attack their lair, you can go in and destroy or steal resources. Either way, one's going to be more beneficial towards you, but again, you can go in and take stuff for yourself, or you can just screw your opponent by destroying their resources. Again, resources being limited, it's up to you. Both empires and lairs are defended by minions. Now, they have a natural defense themselves. Generally, it's 1 point. I think it's 2 for lairs. Then you start adding on minions to defend, and you have to match numbers and die rolls for your minions to fight your attackers and your defenders. That's in the rivalry phase. And then the final phase, if you can afford to do it, is the domination phase. And that's when you take your doomsday device and you threaten, Spokane, or you threaten Haiti, or you just decide, I'm going to threaten the world. And this is where you roll the big dice. The world defends itself, and you attack it. And if they back down, you gain victory points, you get resources, and if it's the world, you win the game. If you're doing a small town, you cow them and they give you what feeble resources they have. But sometimes they're going to be tougher and they're going to say, no, we're just not going to back down. We don't care. We're New York. We don't fold. And then, if you were me, you'd go, well, screw you, and you'd blow them up. And you get maniacal, but it's always a fun time. And it lets the other players know that you're not going to back down, and it lets the world know that you're coming, like Dr. Doom. So, that is the game in a nutshell. It's a fun time. I've had games that can drag on a while, depending on the players, thinking, whatnot. The creation phase is supposed to go in a simultaneous fashion. Everybody's figuring out everything at the same time. So that can either go very smoothly, or it can drag out as players are negotiating and just like, no, that's not good enough, or you betrayed me, I'm going to get you. But it is a fun game. I do have some problem with some of the components. I don't think the cards are very well put together necessarily. I think they did a very nice job of coming up with artwork for the game. But it didn't transfer over to all of the cards. The cards are actually pretty blasé. The card stock used for the scientists, very nice. But again, since it's cardboard on cardboard and you're spinning the dials in the middle, maybe something plastic or something a little bit different would have been nicer. So that is the basics of Mwahahaha. It is a fun game. It'll take you probably 2 hours to play. It's 2 to 5 players. And I say if you're into the mad scientist, world domination, screwing over your friends kind of game, give it a try. It can be really funny and really fun. So, Mwahahaha.